Good morning. Good morning, Shripriya ma'am.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. So I think already it's 8 minutes. So I think we'll get started. Seva ma'am, shall I get started? Uh, do you want to give intro or shall I give intro, ma'am? Okay, I think Seva ma'am might be outside. So okay. So all of our audience are like familiar with Red Fort. So I'll just get started with the book review. Welcome all of you to this book review session. And good evening and good morning to all of you. We'll get started with the book review now. So today we are going to look at this book Range, written by David Epstein. So this book the talks about the importance of being a generalist and why we always give more importance to specialist and not to the generalist, and then like what is the importance of being a generalist, and a lot of stories and examples from which we can learn from. It's a very uh, wonderful book. It's like mind blowing. I recommend all of you to read this because you will be surprised with a lot of things. So we'll get started with a quick intro about the author. So he has written another book called Sports Gene. So David Epstein basically he's into journalism, and he first studied athletes and he wrote this book Sports Gene, and Range was the second book, and Range has become like a very famous book because of a lot of surprising insights he has shared in this book. So, uh, and I think while he was writing this book, Sports Gene, he was working with a lot of athletes, and he got a lot of insights from the way athletes perform and become better as an athlete. And then from that, he got the inspiration to write this book, Range. And so let's start with the first story. In the introduction, he first talks about the athlete Tiger Woods. So in the US, like I think in Western world, like everyone will be familiar about this athlete Tiger Woods. So he is a golf player. He started he started playing golf from the time he was a kid. His father encouraged him to play golf from the childhood, and he made sure he gets a lot of practice, and he becomes an expert in that particular game. And so he started from the age of 2, and he got like lot of practice, and by the time like he was a teenager, he was a prodigy, and he became like one of the most famous person in golf, a most dominant player in golf. And the and in Western world, if you see, lot of people will give reference to Tiger Woods because of his um, practice from childhood, the cult of head start. He started from his childhood to master this particular sports, and he became a great athlete in this particular sport. So if you see, like a lot of books have referenced him, and they have talked about his story about how you can become an expert in a particular field. If you work hard, and if you have like lot of practice, so many hours if you put in right from the childhood, that will make you a master in that particular sport. And after this, author talks about another athlete, uh, Roger Federer. So I think you all of you will be famous. You will be like fond of him as well. So when he was studying about Roger Federer's development from childhood, he found something surprising with Roger Federer because Federer did not start his sports with tennis. So in childhood, he was keep playing lot of sports like skiing, badminton, swimming, soccer. He was trying all the sports. In fact, his mother was a tennis coach. When he was playing with his mom, he was playing tennis with his mom. He wouldn't return the ball correctly into the court, and his mom will gave up and thought he's not good, like he may not be good for tennis. And then his parents also did not put him any pressure to learn one particular sport or become an expert in one particular sport. So he was playing around, he was exploring all the sports from childhood, and at one point he liked tennis and stuck to tennis, and he started putting more time in tennis practice, and he became a famous like tennis player. And the difference between these two stories is that like Federer, even though he played a lot of sports from his childhood, he specialized in tennis only in his teenage, and then after teenage he started like putting more time, and then he became a expert in the sports of tennis. So these two stories shows like two different way of becoming a master. So if you look at the two approach followed by Roger and Tiger, so Tiger Woods, he took up this approach of early specialization, where his parents made sure he started when he was very young, and he started playing the sports, started practicing from the age of 2, and because of deliberate practice, he became an expert. So this is Tiger's path, which is early specialization model. If you take Roger's path, he first started with sampling. Sampling in the sense he was playing a lot of sports. He was playing a lot of sports like tennis, badminton, skiing, all the sports. And then when he was in teenage, he narrowed his sports to tennis and he focused on tennis. So he did he delayed his specialization and he explored a lot of sports. So this is the approach which Roger followed, and this is called the sampling or breadth model. So here, like if you see these two athletes, both are very successful. So what is the lesson or takeaway we can understand from these two approach is that if you so I'll come to that difference between these two with a study which was conducted by psychologists. There were two psychologists, Gary Klein and Daniel Kahneman. They did a two study. They were working on two different studies. First study was by Gary Klein, where he was trying to study all the experts in the field and see how like what made them an expert, like uh, what is the basically it was all about the decision making, how experts make decision and how it impacts their career. So that was the study, and when he was studying the experts, he found that like a lot of experts were working on the field for so many years, and they were coming across repetitive patterns, and when they were facing that repetitive pattern of things occurring in their job, they became very fast in making decisions. For example, firefighters. When you see firefighters, when they are fighting the fire, they will get a sense of how the fire moves and how this fire is going to spread, and then they will at one point they will become an expert, and they are able to make decision within seconds. okay, this is where I need to, this is what I have to do to put off this fire. And another example I can tell is about the chess masters. If you see, most of the chess masters who are experts, when they make the move, their move is like very instinctive because of the practice that they had for so many years. The decision that they make is very instinctive, and they take quick decision within seconds. This is because of the repetitive patterns they have seen multiple times, and then they have learned from it, and which makes them make those decisions very quickly. So this is about the naturalistic decision making, which was a study made by the psychologist Gary Klein. Coming to the second study that was done by Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman was also doing a study on human decisions, how like we make decisions. And when he was studying that, he was trying to find if experience makes a difference in the skill or the expertise in that particular field. So he was seeing mixed kind of results when he was studying that. Even though like when he was studying a lot of experts, and he was studying people who have a lot of experience in a particular field, when the experience increased for some people, even though experience was increasing, the skill was not increasing. So then he was little surprised by this particular finding, because if you are experienced in a particular field, if you are being working on this field for a while, obviously our skill should improve, right? But that was not the case. And they then they both work together, since these two study was conflicting with each other. There was also another study which both worked together, and they wrote a paper together, in which they came to this common ground. This was the finding. So whenever there is a domain, so whether a person will become better in his field based with experience depends on the domain. Depends on the domain. It may not be applicable for all the domains. Maybe in one domain, if we keep working continuously for several years, we might become an expert, and that will improve our skill and we'll become a master. But in some domains, it doesn't work that way. Even if we have a lot of experience, that experience will not become a skill. So specifically is to say, if you are narrowing down the experience to one field, that will not make us better. So that was the common ground they came to with both the study, depending upon the domain. Taking the first domain, which we first study, which we discussed, like the chess players and the firefighters, their domain is very predictable and narrow, where you know the problems you're going to face. This is what is the pattern. Most probably 90% of the problems will be with this particular rules that is set for that particular field. Firefighting, for example, like how the fire spreads and how you have to put off the fire. And for chess, like we know that chess has like a very specific rule, and beyond we cannot do any moves beyond that move. So these two were like a very uh, what do you call, he gives a term that this is like a kind domain, in the sense we know the rules. This is the rule. This is not going to change. And in these kind domains, if you get more practice, you will definitely become an expert. For example, we all would have heard about this rule, 10,000 hours of practice will make us a master in a particular skill. So that particular rule applies for this kind domain, where the rules are fixed and the rules are predictable. And also early specialization also works for this these particular domain. Now coming to the other domain, which is called the wicked domain. Wicked domain in the sense there are no clear rules, like there are no predictable patterns where you can just solve a problem with your experience which you already had in the same field. So example, best example is like politics, financial markets, or leadership, handling like like working with people and handling like people's behavior and working with people. Those things all are like categorized as wicked domain, where there is no like clear rule, or like there is no like confined rules. The rules keeps changing and the things are like very unpredictable. Those are called the wicked domains. And for this wicked domain, this early specialization or this 10,000 hours of rule will not apply. That is a interesting find. And the example about chess, right? In 1997, the IBM Deep Blue, it was the first computer which was playing tennis with which played tennis, and it even defeated the grandmaster Gary Kasparov. So the reason why the IBM Deep Blue machine was able to like defeat the grandmaster itself is because chess game has a fixed pattern and rules. So as long as the programmer is able to code all the rules into the system, all the patterns, millions of patterns, whatever comes in the chess game, then computer will be faster than us. So it will be able to win. Today, if you go and install an app to play chess, that app will win us. It's hard to beat that app because it is because of the artificial intelligence, which makes decisions faster than us, and that is also because the pattern is fixed and the rule is fixed. So that's the interesting thing here, where today, especially for today's like era of AI, like we talk about AI, AI can do a lot of things. There is certain limitation in AI as well, where like where there is fixed rules and fixed patterns, then yes, AI can work. But still, this is an open question whether AI will work for the things which has unpredictable patterns or unclear rules. So that is one interesting find on this. Moving to to understand the difference between the kind domain and wicked domain. So kind domains are the domains where the rules are clear, the patterns are repetitive, and you get a very fast feedback. So how do you learn? Because when you are doing it, when you're playing chess or like when you're playing golf, you get immediate feedback whether your move was correct or not, whether did you hit the ball correctly or not. And that is because of the fast feedback which helps you to become a master. And specialization works, narrowing down and focusing only on that particular field works in the kind domains. When you compare this with the wicked domains, so here in wicked domains is like the real life scenario, the real life experience that we face every day. The rules are not fixed, the rules are not clear, and it's not unpredictable. We do not know what all situations or problems we are going to face. And even if you are like taking a decision, you may not know whether that decision was a right or wrong because of the delayed feedback. It will take a long time to know whether the decision was right or not. That is another challenge. And so, for the wicked domains, only generalist thinking will help. So that's the difference between these two domains, and why we need to give importance for generalist thinking. Having a broad set of knowledge will help us in these wicked domains. Examples like as I mentioned, like business, leadership, politics, innovation. All these are like examples of wicked domain. And Another interesting concept author talks about in the early chapter, the second chapter here is about the conceptual reasoning. So when we are trying to say, for example, we are trying to learn a new skill or trying to learn a new thing. Basically, we all have this habit of like memorizing things or like to remember the things what you are learning. We do like memorization or something, right? So author talks about this conceptual reasoning. So whenever we are learning something, trying to understand something, we need to understand it conceptually. So instead of just going with memorizing the things or like going with the repeated practice, we need to first try to conceptually understand what you are trying to learn. And also there is also a term called abstract reasoning, where you're trying to reason something based on like how it works. For best example, maybe I'll give you one example which might make more sense. When in my own field, like when I was working, I working as a data engineer in early days of my career. I used to focus on writing the code, like writing the SQL scripts, writing the procedures and everything. But I did not have an understanding of the architecture of how the database works, how in the backend how the server runs and how this data is getting processed. So after few years of experience, I started learning those things, which really helped me to understand the concept, why I'm writing this code, why I'm doing this way in a conceptual way. So that is really important. That conceptual reasoning is very important. And another thing is we need to learn a lot of thinking tools. Like one example I'll say is Fermi problems. So Fermi problems is a problem for which you will use your thinking in a like logically you will try to reason and then you come with an answer. Like for example, he gave an example in the book about how many piano tuners are there in New York or how many piano tuners are there in Chicago. So for this particular question, um, how will you try answer this question? Generally, uh, if you look at it, we cannot come up with an answer because New York is such a big city. How can I like find there are like so many people in the city? How can I say how many piano tuners are there? But if you try to use like reasoning and try to answer this question, maybe like you can come up with some rough estimate of this of an answer with an answer. For example, like for this particular problem, if you take big cities like Chicago or New York, all it's a very big city and like huge skyscrapers. And if you see, most of the people who live there are like will be living in apartment or smaller sized apartments, and only like there will be like few rich people who will have like a big house and they might have a piano in their home. So you can just come up with a rough estimate, like maybe like only 10 percentage of population in New York might be richer than this. Like that you can come up with a rough estimate. So this is not about coming with saying the right answer, but this is like a tool to think for a question, for a statistical question. So when I when I read this, like I remembered one movie dialogue. I think you also might know this. In Alaipaide movie, Madhavan will be telling this. How will you find this girl in this huge city, Chennai? So he will say like he will give all this logic. How many people are there in Chennai? 50% of population will be women. So I think you would have seen that scene. And finally he will end up with, out of 70 women who are doctors, who might be traveling from Tambaram to Egmore, I might find my girlfriend. I might find the girl, like that he will say. So that is like that was something I remembered immediately. So you can use this Fermi problem as a thinking tool to solve some problems. So like this is just one example, solving a Fermi problem. Like this, there are a lot of thinking tools that we need to learn. So that will help us in solving the real life problems in our own life. So this was a very interesting example. And coming to modern thinking is also about thinking, able to think abstractly, able to apply the knowledge that we have from different domains to another domain. That is like modern thinking, which will help us in complex real world situations. And coming to the example of Kepler. So Kepler was so in early 17th century, Kepler was trying to find, like, for trying to understand how the planets move around sun. So the problem he was trying to solve was his master, Tycho Brahe. He collected some data about the planet movement around the sun for Mars, and he mentioned, like, very precisely that Mars is not moving in a circular motion around, in a circular path around sun. So so Kepler was trying to solve that and try to understand why, how Mars is moving around the sun. So when he was trying to analyze and solve this to exactly find or predict how it moves, he first found that planets are not moving in a circular motion. So the final the final outcome of his study was that planets are moving in elliptical direction around the sun, and they had the data for that, and they were able to he was able to conclude that planets are moving in an elliptical path, not in circular path. And the way he solved that problem, like the way he found was, he could not, like, if he could not find a solution. But what he did is he tried to apply a lot of analogies for each problem. He break the problem, and he started applying analogies. So one analogy was, he was imagining sun like a magnet, and he was trying to find, like, if planets are revolving around the sun is pulling the planet towards it. That's why the planets are, like, revolving around the sun. That was one analogy he used. And he also used the analogy of music, where he saw that harmony in the universe, and he related the celestial motion with the musical ratios. So he did a lot of analogies. And another analogy was about the clock. Like, he just imagined the mm, entire solar system as a clock, and the way the planet moved, like a um, just like how the needle moves around the watch, right? So like that he applied a lot of analogies, and finally he was able to come to this conclusion. So another analogy he used was like, for example, if you take water in a bucket, and if you keep rotating that bucket very fast, extremely in a very fast speed, that water will still, like, some water will still stay inside the bucket, right? So like that, when the sun is rotating around its axis with such a fast speed, that makes the planets to, like, get attracted towards it and keeps it in the circular path, in the path around the sun. So these were like a lot of analogies he used in order to find the solution, and he was able to come up with that solution. And that was not because just he think only in the scientific terms. He had like lot of exposure to other fields, and he brought those analogies into this particular problem. So that is the key takeaway here is that applying cross conceptual boundaries, like taking cross domain insights, and most important thing is analogical thinking. Like we have to try to borrow ideas from different problems and then try to apply it to our own problems. That is analogical thinking. And deep specialization may not be able to help to solve this problem. So breadth is required for him to solve this problem. So that's why, like author had mentioned this quote, like Kepler didn't think outside the box. He realized the box itself was too small. So he did not have a box. Like he thought big. He did not have boundaries. He brought all like other domain knowledge and applied it here. That's about the thinking outside experience. And there is psychologist Dendre Gartner who is like fan of Kepler, and who talks about this analogical thinking. Why this analogical thinking is very important. So um, in this I think this particular psychologist is the one who termed this kind world hypothesis. The term, this is the person who brought this term kind world hypothesis, where the rules are predictable. And in this, in the study which this psychologist did, has shown about the analogical thinking, the importance of analogical thinking, and the importance of bringing the cross domain knowledge into our own field to solve problems. So now uh, let's do one activity. So this was very interesting, so I wanted to bring this to all of you. We are going to solve a problem using analogical thinking. So now, like, I'm going to give you a problem. I'll read out the problem, and then take a few minutes, take a couple of minutes to come up with a solution for that problem. You don't have to share it immediately. Then after that, I'll give you an analogy and take another couple of minutes to solve the same problem. After seeing that analogy, you try to solve the problem and see if your solution is different, or like if you're not able to solve also, it's okay. Just give it a try, and then I'll give you another second analogy and see like how the solution, how you are able to come up with a solution. Okay, so this was very interesting while reading, so I thought I'll bring this, so like it will be helpful and interesting for you as well. Let me start with this particular problem. So first problem, okay, radiation. You are a doctor, so as a doctor, you have to treat a patient with a tumor buried deep inside the body. There exists a special kind of ray which is perfectly harmless at low intensity. If you give that ray in low intensity, it is harmless. But at sufficiently high intensity, it will destroy the tumor, but it will also destroy the healthy tissues. So now, how can you use this ray to treat the patient? What can you do? So this is the problem statement. What can be done to avoid the healthy tissues in the body getting destroyed and only able to remove the tumor cells? So this is the problem. I would pause for a minute. I want you to just think for a minute and then come up, like you just think about it and just come up with a solution. You don't have to share it right now. We can discuss after, finally after the exercise.
முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா சித்ரா மேடம் முடிச்சிட்டீங்களா?
No, sir, no. So I gave one problem, sir. So for that problem, I'm giving some time for you to think for a solution, sir. You want me to repeat the problem statement?
ப்ளீஸ் ப்ளீஸ்.
Okay, let me repeat the problem statement. You are a doctor. You're trying to treat a patient with tumor. As a doctor, you have to treat a patient with tumor buried deep inside the body. There exists a special kind of ray which is perfectly harmless at a low intensity, but it is sufficient with sufficient high intensity that ray will destroy the tumor, but also it will destroy the healthy tissues. So how can you treat this patient by only treating the tumor cells and not destroying the healthy tissues? So that is the problem for which like we need to try to find a solution.
Okay. That is with the radiation also the chemotherapy. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Now
Okay,
to
so
understand
now
situation.
let's move on. Like, yeah, we will move on to. Okay, now we thought about the solution, but let's pause here and let's go through this story and take this story as an analogy and see if you can apply this to your solution. Okay, general and fortress problem. A general wanted to capture his enemy's fortress. He gathered a large army to launch a full scale direct attack, but then learned that all the roads leading directly towards the fortress were blocked by mines. These roadblocks were designed in such a way that it was possible for small groups of fortress owners men to pass them safely, but a large group of men would initially set them off. Now, the general figured out the following plan. He divided his troop into several smaller groups and made each of them march down in different road, timed in such a way that the entire army would reunite exactly when reaching the fortress and could hit with full strength. So this is another problem. This is please take this problem as an analogy and try to come up with the solution for our problem. I'll give few seconds here. I'll give few seconds of pause here, and then we can move on to the next analogy.
You want us to come up with something as a solution, Chitra?
Uh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you
You
clearly.
want us to come up with some solution using this analogy?
Yes, yes, correct.
I mean, exactly matching to this example, right? You will send low intensity rays, but somehow at the point of the tumor, close to the point of tumor, you will combine them into a high intensity ray.
Correct, correct. Yes, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can try to solve this problem, ma'am. So this is to see how we are solving the problem before the analogy and after the analogy. And now, yeah, yeah, I appreciate the solution you came up with. Now, I would also give you another analogy and then like see like if come up with the final solution for this. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that. Let me come to the next analogy. Okay, second analogy. So this is another story. Fire in a small town. Let me read out this. Years ago, a small town fire chief arrived at a woodshed fire, concerned that it would spread to nearby house if it was not extinguished quickly. There were no hydrant nearby, but the shed was near to a lake, so there was plenty of water. Dozens of neighbors were taking turns in through water and taking turns in like taking through throwing water, taking water from the lake and throwing onto the fire. The neighbors were surprised when the fire chief yelled at them to stop, and then he told them, "You all go fill the buckets in the lake, and then when you return on count of three, you all need to throw the water at once, at same time." So that's what he told, and then all these people went and took water in the bucket, and they all like surrounded that fire, completely surrounded that fire. And then when the chief counted 1, 2, 3, and on count of three, they all poured the water simultaneously, and then the fire was extinguished. So this is the second analogy. Okay, so now let's try to use two analogies, and then we'll come back to again solving our own problem. So now, like, I would recommend like you to share your solution, and also like how you were able to solve. Did it help? So maybe yeah, CPMM, you can. Okay, let me give some time. Sorry, let me give some time to think, and then we'll discuss. Yeah.
So, because you said simultaneously, right? And because it says circle around the shed, right? I'm thinking simultaneously send the rays from through different layers of muscle tissues, but to the target at the same time.
Correct, correct. Okay, okay, ma'am.
Let
Like
others
you,
talk to them, and yeah,
okay,
yeah,
simultaneously. Okay, okay, ma'am. That's nice. So yeah, so anybody wants to share? Like anybody else wants to share? Please feel free to share your solution. Like okay, okay, no worries, no worries. So let me thank you, CPMM, for sharing the solution. So from these two analogies, like two things we took for solving this problem is, one is like passing the radiation from all directions with low intensity, so that it will not damage any healthy tissues. And finally, all these rays should converge at that point where the tumor is present. That is one thing from the first analogy. And second thing is, all these rays should be passed simultaneously, like it all these rays needs to pass through the body at same time, simultaneously. uh, when it meets with intensity in that particular tumor cell, it will destroy that tumor cell. So I think these two analogies would have helped us to solve this problem. And thank you for trying to solve this problem. And maybe this experience, why I wanted to bring this experience to you as well, is to know the kind of impact that analogical thinking can really bring, and how much it will be helpful for solving problems. So it was very interesting while reading, so I thought of sharing it with you. Thank you, and thank you, Shripriya ma'am, for sharing your solution as well. And your solution was correct, and I try to reiterate with all the keywords. Thank you so much.
yeah. Chitra ma'am, if it's okay, I'll share one more example
Sure, sure, sure. Please go ahead.
very similar to this, right? So Steve, yeah, yeah. So Steve Jobs was a college dropout, right? Because he didn't, and he didn't like the subjects that were thrown at him to get a degree. So he said, okay, I'll go and learn what I like to study, right? So he dropped out, and then he learned calligraphy. There was a class at another college, and the poster attracted him with beautiful fonts and stuff. So he joined that college to learn calligraphy, like, how the fonts look, how the letters look, how stylish they were, how to make it simple. And and that's exactly what helped him to design the fonts for the Mac laptops and stuff like that. For all the Apple products, the way they kind of like how beautiful they look. He was not a programmer mostly, but he was a designer. Why they look beautiful, why each font looks beautiful, the simplicity of the iPhone versus the other phones today. You probably can relate all that back to that calligraphy class you took out of. So that is like like just an other experience, alternate experience that directly influenced um, his main what to say his main purpose in life. Yeah, just wanted to
Yes,
throw that
yes,
example
very
also.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have never thought that calligraphy will help him in his career, but it was, yeah, very interesting example. And even the author has mentioned about this in the book. Thank you for explaining it for us. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so next topic is about having okay, so the chapter name was very interesting. It was like flirt with your possible selves. So what he's trying to that why he kept this title is like we all will have different possible selves. Like we should not restrict our identity to one thing, and we should we should not restrict our identity to one particular thing. That's what he's saying. And then we have to explore a lot of things. So when you are trying to learn and explore a lot of things, there will be a different possible self in you, in which like from out of which you can choose one path. So it's like he's connecting this to like dating, the dating culture in the Western world. Like people will like date before like before they get commit to a person. Like they will flirt with a lot of people, and then they will date with a lot of people. So like that he's saying like flirt with your possible selves, in the sense if you are interested in something, you are exploring and learning something in that particular skill or field, you will try to learn. You have to encourage yourself to do that. And you can you should not like think whether it will really help you in any way. Like do not restrict yourself just thinking that, oh, will this help me in any way in my career or something like that. If there is an interest or something you have, please be open to be curious and explore that and try to learn that. So when you do that, like you might be interested in one thing in a particular phase of life. You might be learning that. Maybe like after a year or so, your interest will change. You will go and explore and learn something else. Like that, you will have interest in different things in different stages of life. So we need to encourage that and have that curiosity to explore broadly the things, especially if it is interesting to you. You should explore it, and also be open to learn a lot of things from different field. So that is one thing where the concept of this trying to like find all the possible selves is having, for example, if you have developed a lot of skills, or you have learned a lot of things or explored a lot of things, or even for say for that matter, like if you have worked in a different fields, you have worked in a different roles. So all these will be like an exploration, and finally you will find a path for yourself, which like you want to become more specialize in that particular field. So this is like trying to be open and explore a lot of things so that you can get into one particular thing that resonates more with you. That and then the collective experience will really help in problem solving and idea generation. So this is another key word that for any of us, like for every one of us in our own jobs, the two important skill is one is idea generation, another is problem solving. For idea generation, only like having a broad knowledge will help us to generate ideas by connecting a lot of things. So the cross domain insights will help us. And the second thing is problem solving. Like we solved a particular problem here. Problem solving using cross domain insights and also analogies is a skill. So this skill will help us to grow in our own career. So these are like important skills. And there are like so many things. Like we have very less time. I'll try to uh, cover up cover these topics quickly and then wind up the session. There is one interesting study, Dark Horse Project. This was an interesting study done by two psychologists, Todd and August. So they studied the people who were like not an early specializers, but who are very successful. But if you see their experience, life experience, they would have taken like so many path. They would have like done the worked in different fields, and they would have their path is like zigzag path where there is no clear path of getting into one particular career. Maybe for an example which everyone can relate to, I can talk about Nike's co-founder Phil Knight. If you see, he wanted to be a professional athlete, but he was not good enough to become a professional athlete. But the thing is, he was more interested in sports and he wanted to be connected with sports. So he was just doing like he was running tracks, and he was like working with one of the coach athlete um, sports coach who became the co-founder of Nike. So when he was working with the coach, he used to like his coach was tinkering the shoes, and like he was trying to like fix the shoes and make it better for the runners, so it will be easy for the runners to run. And that's how like these two people, they were exploring these things and they were in the field of sports. And finally this idea of Nike came, and then they started this company Nike, and they became a shoe company. So this was like a example we can take, like how Phil Knight's path was not a straight path. So he wanted to be an athlete, and then like he came into entrepreneurship. So these people who do not have like a straight path, so they gave a term called dark horse. Horse. Dark horse means people who do not have a traditional linear path of success. They would have taken like lot of zigzag path finally to reach their success final area where they want to become to master. And then like they would have explored a lot of things and delayed their specialization, and then finally they found their way. So those are the people who they call as dark horse. If you see, the lessons we can take from dark horses are like they are like very they do self reflection. Whenever they are doing some work, they are trying some new job or like new interest, they will reflect on how it is, like whether it's energizing for them, or like whether they are enjoying the process of that of learning this thing. So they do a lot of self reflection, and they also have like short term plans and try small things. They don't have like a long term like 10-year plan or something, but they have a short term plan. Okay, next 3 months I'll do this, I'll try this particular hobby or something like that, small bits, and pivoting like they will put everything together in front of them. They'll say, okay, I have interest in these things, and these are the opportunities available here. So which one I can take? And then they will be open, and then they'll see lot of opportunities in front of them and pivot according to that. That is pivoting. And accumulating diverse skills is also like accumulating lot of skills and then like combining those skills uniquely. That is all about the dark horse project. And we can learn these things from dark horses. And the comparison between the traditional path and the dark horse path, where the dark horses always focus on fulfillment and meaning in the things they do than like the external standards of success. So that is the difference. And they keep trying, learning from the trial. They experiment and then they'll adjust and they'll find their own path. So that is about the comparison, where like traditional path we only train in one direction and only become like expert, trying to become specialized in one field. Other thing is like, yeah, meaning is more important. And career is shaped, like their career will be shaped by their own lived experience of what they have worked on, and a collective experience what they have had from each job or each um, learnings that they had as part of their experience. So that's the difference between these two paths. Finally, to summarize, like the key ideas from starting, I could say about the comparison between the kind and wicked domains. And if we are to like we can start reflecting whether our own domain is a kind domain or wicked domain, so that we can start improving by learning a lot of thinking tools which we can use in our field. And like conceptual thinking and applying analogies to solve problems. And also like fast feedback and delayed feedback. It's a difference between the two domains which we need to remember. Sometimes we might take some decision, we might do some things which for which we may not get an immediate feedback, but we need to be patient enough to see how it all turns for us. And one interesting quote, I think you all know this quote: "Jack of all trades, master of none." It's a famous quote. Like when people say, if we are not able to like become master in one particular field, right? They will use this phrase to say, "Hey, you are a jack of all trade and master of none," something like that. So for that, author has quoted that he has rephrased it, and he says that a jack of all trade is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So he's saying a jack of all trade is better than a master of one because of the broad experience a person will have. So that maybe if you are convinced with this idea, maybe this will resonate with you. And finally, let me summarize all the points once, and then we'll go forward. First thing is about the sampling, trying to sample, trying to explore a lot of things and sample before specializing. And especially, this is like something he mentions for parents, like who want their children to have a head start. So we can be little free and let them explore a lot of things. And importance of learning conceptual reasoning and learning thinking tools which we can use for problem solving. And for analogical thinking which will help us in idea generation and problem solving. And we also talked about test and try and explore, and find a model that fits for you. And there is one thing that you need to keep trying to find new role models. So whenever like you get inspired by people and you take up new role models, that will also help you to get into a lot of fields, different fields, and learn new things from different fields. And then a test and learn approach than a plan and implement approach, which is having a 10-year plan. Instead of that, like test small, have short term plans and keep building your experience on top of it. And do not restrict yourself to one particular identity. Keep yourself open and be curious, open minded to learn things from different field, and be open to like different ideas and different fields, and which will help us to broaden our skill set and not just stuck to one particular field and specialization, but also like it will broaden our skill set. So with this I'll conclude my speech, and I'll open the forum for discussion. Thank you so much for your patience. I know it's a lot of things to take within 1 hour, and I it was very difficult for me to decide which one to bring here and which one to exclude. There are so many things which I excluded. Maybe I'll try to put them in another PPT and share it with you. But thank you so much, and I'll wind up here, and I'll open this forum for discussion. Please raise your hands, and I'll call you in that order. Seva ma'am is busy, so I will coordinate and I'll call you for feedback and discussion. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Shripriya ma'am, go ahead, ma'am. I think.
Yeah. Sorry, since I have to drop off in a few minutes, I just wanted to go first. I think this is very important, Chitra, especially for um, parents who are having younger kids, right? You show the you showed the two contrasting examples of a golf player and a tennis player, right? How they approach these sports, and I think Roger is much more successful than Tiger Woods nowadays, right? You so this is some food for thought, right? Like uh, excellent concept as well. Like in today's world, you cannot have narrow focus unless your domain is really kind, and the number of kind domains are also getting very limited. So, really an eye opener for people who are already in their mid careers as well. Sometimes you say your second career is choosing a second profession in the middle of your career is a good thing. I think probably because by that time we have gained all those experiences and other industries experiences, domain experience, and now they're looking to transfer that along with the learning for the new domain and create the second profession. And that's why probably most of them succeed well in that kind of situation. So, uh, I mean, I think the ideas are complex, but you presented them in a very assimilatable way. As usual, I so much appreciated and thank you, Chika.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for solving the problem. Thank you, and sharing it. Thank you.
I wanted to see how people are solving it before the analogies were given. Like, what was like they would have had some experience in their domains, right? Like, how are they applying it to that problem? But yeah, it was very
Right.
clear how with a comparable experience, right? You can translate that into the current problem that you're trying to solve. Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you, thank you. We'll see. Like when I'm asking for feedback, I'll ask how did they solve it, and see like if anyone is ready to share
Yeah.
their experience. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah. Vinaytitan sir, yeah, you can share your thoughts, sir.
I have some disturbance here, and so I couldn't hear fully.
Okay, okay, sir.
Uh,
No problem.
Wonderful lecture. Here and there, I picked up some points that the hard cars, that analogy, so many things. It's ஒரு நல்ல விஷயம் என்னன்னா நீங்க எப்பவுமே ஒரு பவர் பாயிண்ட் நீங்க மறுபடி ஷேர் பண்றீங்க, ரெக்கார்ட் பண்றீங்க. அதுக்காக நான் உங்கள ரொம்ப அப்ரிஷியேட் பண்றேன், வாழ்த்துறேன்.
தேங்க் யூ.
அதனால அத கொஞ்சம் நான் பார்க்கிறேன். என்னால பார்க்க முடியல. முன்னாடி இருக்கிறது அந்த உங்க சேனல்ல இருக்கு, எல்லாமே இருக்கு. சில சமயங்கள்ல பார்க்கணும்னு நினைக்கிற நேரங்கள்ல நிறைய பார்க்க முடியல. அப்படியே போயிட்டே இருக்கு. இது நல்லா இருக்கு. உங்களுடைய முயற்சி ரொம்ப ரொம்ப முயற்சி எடுத்திருக்கீங்க. ரொம்ப எடுத்து போட்டிருக்கீங்க. இன்னொன்னு ஸ்லைடுல 7/7 ஒரு ரூல் சொல்றாங்க. கொஞ்சம் குறைச்சலா இருந்தா போதும். கொஞ்சம் பெரிய லெட்டர்ல அந்த ஸ்லைடோடைய நம்பர்ஸ் கூட இருந்தா பரவாயில்ல. நீங்க இப்போ இந்த இந்த ஒரு ஸ்லைட் கடைசியா தெரியுறதுல 8 பாயிண்ட் இருக்குல்ல, அத நாலு நாலு நாள், அதாவது 7/7 ரூல் மாதிரி இருக்கு. 7 வார்த்தை, 7 வரி, அந்த
ஓகே.
மாதிரி. அத அது கொஞ்சம் இருந்துச்சுன்னா பாக்குற போதும் சரி கொஞ்சம் நல்லா இருக்கும். கொஞ்சம் கூட இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல ஸ்லைட்ஸ். ஆனா
கரெக்ட், கரெக்ட்.
நீங்க ரொம்ப முயற்சி எடுத்து இதை உள்வாங்கி, அதுவும் அதுக்கு 1 மாதமாச்சு நீங்க அதை ஊற போட்டு அதை கொண்டாந்து கொடுக்குறீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். உங்களுக்கு எனக்கு ரொம்ப பாராட்டு. உங்களுக்கு சரி, ஸ்ரீபிரியா மேடமும் சரி, இங்க இருக்க மற்ற நண்பர்களும் சரி, ரொம்ப சிறப்பா இருக்கு. உங்களை மீண்டும் பாராட்டி வாழ்த்துறேன். நன்றி அம்மா.
தேங்க் யூ, தேங்க் யூ ஸோ மச் சார். நன்றி, நன்றி சார். ஓகே. ஸ்ரீராம் சார், யூ கேன் கோ அஹெட் சார்.
Thanks, Chitra madam.
தேங்க் யூ
Very
சார்.
big topic, பெரிய topic, especially problem solving and I am thinking. It's a thinking tool,
கரெக்ட்.
than thinking about being specialist. They always say jack of all trade. I think that's the same thing you are saying. எல்லா விஷயத்திலையும் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சம் தெரியும். ஃபுல்லா தெரியாது, அப்புறமா லேர்ன் பண்ணிக்கலாம். That's a way. Wonderful topic. You have covered it very nicely. Thanks may be a small word, actually. Thanks may be a very small word. Being curious, I'm always curious and open-minded. Thanks once again. Have a nice session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I was little mm, sad that I couldn't cover a lot of things, but I'll try to put those things in another PPT or something, and I'll share it. Yeah, there are like so many things to cover, and it was hard to like pick which one to cover. I hope this core message has reached all of you. Then I'll be happy like if that core message has reached all of you. That will yeah. Then I'm happy and I'll say like I've done a better job. Okay, okay, sir. Thank you, Sriram sir. Um, let me call Nitya ma'am. Nitya Devi ma'am இருக்கீங்களா? Maybe she's on mute, I think. Okay. Okay, let me call Milton sir. Please go ahead. We'll give some time
எஸ்
for
மேடம்.
Nitya.
ரொம்ப பியூட்டிஃபுல், ரொம்ப இது சூப்பர். வழக்கம் போல உங்களுடைய இது அவருடைய அந்த இன்னொரு புக்கையும் பார்க்கறதுக்கு நேர்ந்தது. அந்த ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் பத்தி ஒன்று எழுதியிருந்தாரு, ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ் ஜீனி.
Sports. Ah, yes, yes.
அதுவும் வந்து அதுதான் முதல்ல எழுதினார் போல. ஸோ தட் இஸ் வெரி ஒண்டர்ஃபுல். அதாவது இதே அதை வந்து எக்ஸ்பிளைன் அதை இன்னும் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணியிருக்காரு இந்த புக்ல அப்படின்ற மாதிரி தான் படித்தேன் நான். ஸோ இட்ஸ் ஒண்டர்ஃபுல். அதுவும் வந்து என்ன சொல்றது, அது அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணா இது இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஈஸியா புரியுன்ற மாதிரி எனக்கு தோணுது.
Okay,
பிகாஸ்
okay.
தட் இஸ் ரிட்டன் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அதுதான். ஸோ அதாவது வந்து அந்த அனலாஜிக்கல் திங்கிங் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்க இல்லையா, அது எப்படி புரிஞ்சுக்கலாம்?
Okay, sir. Analogical thinking is like trying to apply a solution from another problem to our own problem. Like uh, if you have exposure to multiple domain and if you have an exposure to multiple problems in other domains and how it has been solved. So அதே solution எடுத்து we can apply in our own problem. So analogical is nothing but like connecting two different things. இன்னொரு சொல்யூஷனை வந்து we are trying to The problem also will be similar. So here, let me tell you this particular concept of understanding the deep structures. So in problem solving, in real life problem solving, he's saying we have to understand the problem and then we have to go a little deeper to understand the structure of the problem, the deep structure of a problem. So when we understand the deep structure of the problem, if you know another problem that has a similar structure for in a, maybe it might be any other field or something, but the structure might be the same, so you can bring that and you can apply it in your domain. So that is one thing he has mentioned as well, understanding structure of a problem. And whenever you come across a lot of problems, try to like understand the deep structure of a problem and try to remember it, so in future like that might help in solving another problem. So that's analogical thinking, sir. Is it clear, sir?
ரொம்ப கிளியரா இருக்கு. ரொம்ப கரெக்டா சொன்னீங்க மேடம். அதாவது நம்பர் 1 ப்ராப்ளம், நம்பர் 2 வந்து சொல்யூஷன், நம்பர் 3 வந்து டிசிஷன். இது வந்து பேசிக்கா வந்து கோ டு த ஸ்ட்ரக்சர், அப்புறம் வந்து ரைட் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் வேற அதர் மல்டிபிள் பிளேசஸ் இட் ஹஸ் பீன் ஹெல்டு. அதை வந்து மற்ற இடங்கள்ல எங்க என்ன இருக்கு, எப்படி சால்வ் பண்ணாங்க, அதை வந்து இங்க கொண்டு வரதுக்கு முயற்சி செய்யலாம். அதான்
Correct,
கரெக்டா?
correct. Exactly, sir. Correct.
நான் ஒரு இன்னொரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் இருக்கு சொல்லுவா சித்ரா, இந்த பர்டிகுலர் இதுக்கு.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
இந்த ஸ்கூல் கிட்ஸோட ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் இது ஹை ஸ்கூல் கிட்ஸோட இதெல்லாம் இன்வால்வ் பண்ணும்போது ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் வந்து சப்மிட் பண்ணாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி வந்து இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போ நடந்து போகிறோம், நம்ம எறும்பெல்லாம் உழுந்து போகுது. கிராஸ் ஹாப்பரை பார்த்தா அதை குதிச்சு போகுது இல்லையா, லைக் ஜம்ப் பண்ணி போகுது. ஸோ அவங்க என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னா, இப்போ ரோபோட்ஸ்க்கு வந்து எனர்ஜி நிறைய தேவைப்படுது. அது வந்து ஒரு இடத்துல இங்கிருந்து இங்கே நடந்து கடக்கணும் அப்படின்னா, அது மெல்லமா நடந்ததுன்னா ரொம்ப எனர்ஜி தேவைப்படும். ஆனா அது ஒரு கிராஸ் ஹாப்பர் மாதிரி குதிச்சுதுன்னா அது லாங் கவர் பண்ணும். ஸோ அது என்னோட பொண்ணுகிட்ட இருந்து அந்த ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட், இது என்னது வித்தியாசமா இருக்கு. ஏன்னா ஆமா, நாங்கள் கிராஸ் ஹாப்பரை பார்க்கும்போது அது குதிச்சு தானே போகுது. அதே வந்து ஏன் நம்ம ரோபாட்ஸ்க்கு வந்து அப்ளை பண்ணக்கூடாது, எனர்ஜி கன்சம்ஷன் கம்மியா இருக்குமே. அந்த மாதிரி ஒன்றை பார்த்து நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி தான், அது ஒரு பிஹேவியரையோ ஒரு சிஸ்டமையோ ஒரு ப்ராசஸையோ பார்த்து அதை வந்து கொஞ்சம் உள்வாங்கிக்கிட்டோம்னா அதில் இருக்கிற ஒரு பார்த்தானே ஐடியா வராது. அதை பார்த்து ஏன் அது அப்படி பண்ணுது, என்னென்ன எதனால இது வேற மாதிரி பிஹேவ் பண்ணுது அப்படின்லாம் பார்த்து அனலைஸ் பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் இன்டர்னலைஸ் பண்ணோம்னா சப்கான்ஷியஸ்லி அந்த ஐடியாஸ் வந்து ஏறக்குறைய அதே மாதிரி ப்ராப்ளம் ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் இருக்கிற வேற ஒரு டிசிப்ளின்ல இருக்கிற ப்ராப்ளம் பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம இதை வந்து அப்ளை பண்ணலாமே அப்படின்னு தோணும். அதுதான் வந்து அந்த டிரான்ஸ்லேஷன் from one discipline to the other, but similar problem structures.
Nice from real life example. Thank you. Very interesting.
அதாவது தமிழ்ல சொல்றதா இருந்தா இந்த ஓமை அணின்னு சொல்றோம்ல, உருவு கண்டு எல்லாமை வேண்டும்னாரு. உருவத்தை பார்த்து யாரையும் எல்லாதீங்க. ஏன் இருள் பெரும் தேருக்கு அச்சாணி அண்ணார் உடைத்து, அச்சாணி துணுண்டுதான், பெரிய தேரு அது மாதிரி இருக்கவங்களும் இருக்காங்க. இத சொல்லிட்டு விட்டுட்டாரு. காக்கை கரவா கரைந்துண்ணும் ஆக்கமும் அன்னநீராக்கே உள்ள, எல்லாரையும் சேர்த்து உண்ணுகிறவனுக்கு தான் ஆக்கம். காக்கை அப்படி செய்யுது, உங்களுக்கு அது மாதிரிதான். அது மாதிரி நம்மளுடைய ஓமைய நீது அந்த காலத்துல சொன்னாங்களே, அது பூரா அனாலஜி தான் சொல்றாங்க. இந்த உருவகம் ஓமைன்னு பல இதை சொல்றாங்க இல்ல, அத நம்ம பீலி பைசாகாடும் அச்சிரும் அப்பண்டம்னாரு. ஒரு மயிலிறக கூட வச்சா கூட அந்த அச்சு போயிடும். அதனால நீ எவ்வளவு செய்ய முடியுமோ அதைத்தான் செய்யு, எவ்வளவு பிரெட்டை கடிக்க முடியுமோ அதைத்தான் கடி, அதுக்கு மேல சாப்பிட முடியாது. இது மாதிரி பல விஷயங்கள் நம்ம சொல்றோம். அதை இது மாதிரி நம்ம அழகா இங்க சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. அனாலஜிங்கிறது சாதாரண விஷயம் இல்லை. ஒரு இடத்துல அது பொருந்திருக்காது, எல்லா இடத்துலயும் பொருந்தும்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ஆனா அது வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு பொருந்துறதுக்கு, பயன்படுத்தி பார்ப்போம் அப்படிங்கிறது தான். அருமை. ம்.
கரெக்ட், கரெக்ட்
ஆமா.
சார்.
நம்ம இலக்கியம் பூராவே இதுதானே இருக்கு.
ஆஹா, உண்மைதானே இருக்கு.
இது போல.
அவர்
கரெக்ட்.
சொல்லிட்டு விட்டுறாரு நிறைய விஷயம் இது மாதிரி. அதாவது பெரிய யானை அத நரி அடிச்சிருமா. எப்ப போய் ஒரு சேருல அதை விட்டு காலு மாட்டிக்கிட்டான். இது மாதிரி எந்த ப்ராப்ளத்தையும் நீங்க யோசிச்சு பார்க்கலாம். அந்த அந்த இது இல்லை, இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய நம்மளை எண்ணி பார்க்கறதுக்கு இதெல்லாம் இவங்க அதை பார்க்கிற போது நம்ம பழசையும் சேர்த்து பார்த்தோம்னா நமக்கு இன்னும் கூட நல்ல புரிதல் ஏற்படும் அப்படின்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அருமை. இது மாதிரி இதுகளெல்லாம் கொண்டாடணும். இதெல்லாம் நம்ம நிறைய பிறநாட்டு நல்லறிஞர் சாத்திரங்கள் தமிழ் மொழியில் ஆக்கல் வேண்டும் நாம் பாரதி. பிறநாட்டு நல்லறிஞர் சாத்திரங்கள். இப்ப நீங்க எல்லாம் சொல்றது நிறைய தேடி சேர்த்து உங்களால தெரிஞ்சதை உங்களோட வாழ்க்கையை சேர்த்து சொல்றீங்க. இது ரொம்ப சிறப்பான பணி நீங்க செய்யறதெல்லாம். ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சி எனக்கு.
தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ. தேங்க்யூ ஸ்ரீபிரியா மேம். ஓகே. மில்டன் சார், நீங்க பேசிட்டு
ஒன்
இருந்தீங்க
மோர் திங்
நடுவில்
மேடம்.
நாங்க சொல்லுங்க வேற ஏதாவது.
அதான் அதாவது அனாலஜி மல்டிபிள் ஸ்கில் ஸ்பெஷலைசேஷன், அதாவது வந்து ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட் தவிர பல முனைகள்ல வந்து தன்னை வந்து ஈடுபடுத்தி இருக்கவங்க வெற்றி பெற்றவர் அப்படின்னு சொல்ல போனா லியோனார்டோ டாவின்சி. அவர் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிளா தோணுது எனக்கு. லியோனார்டோ டாவின்சி வந்து எல்லா துறையிலயும் இருக்காரு. அப்புறம் பெயிண்டிங்ல அந்த இதெல்லாம் வந்து அந்த சிற்பம் அது எல்லாத்தையும் வந்து அவருடைய கடைசி இதுல வந்து ரொம்ப லாஸ்ட் செப்பர் மொத்த இதுல வந்து ரொம்ப பிரமாதம் பண்ண முடிஞ்சது. பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் தி திங் ஸ்பெஷலைசிங் இன் ஆல் தி ஃபீல்ட்ஸ். இந்த அப்படி தோணுது எனக்கு. சரி.
கரெக்ட் சார். அவரும் நல்ல எக்ஸாம்பிள். தேங்க்யூ, தேங்க்யூ.
இன்னொருத்தர் சொல்லலாம். அதாவது இண்டிவிஜுவலா இந்த டைகர் வுட்ஸ் மாதிரி சொன்னீங்களே, அது மாதிரி சொல்ல போனா டெஸ்லா சொல்லலாம்.
ஓகே. டெஸ்லானா நீங்க
எடிசன் நடுவுல ரெண்டு வராரு. எடிசன்.
நிக்கோலஸ் டெஸ்லா சொல்றீங்களா சார்?
நிக்கோலஸ் டெஸ்லா அவரு. ஓகே, ஓகே, ஓகே. அவரு சொல்றீங்க. நான் டெஸ்லானதும் ஈலான் மஸ்கை யோசிச்சுட்டேன். ஓகே, ஓகே. சரி சார்.
அனாலிட்டிக்கல் திங்கிங் பத்தி சொல்லிருந்தீங்க மேடம். அது கொஞ்சம்
ஓகே. அனலாஜிக்கல் திங்கிங்னா அதான் லைக் அப்ளையிங் இப்போ ஒரு இன்னொரு ஃபீல்டில் இருக்கிற சொல்யூஷனை வந்து இங்கே அப்ளை பண்ணுறது. மேபி நான் உங்களுக்கு இன்னொரு சிம்பிள் எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்கிறேன். நீங்கள் மங்கள்யான் படம் பார்த்தீங்களா? இந்த மார்ஸ், தே சென்ட் த satellite to Mars. So they took, there is one Hindi movie, Mangalyan. So in that, scientist, she will be cooking puri in her house. So அவங்க வந்து she'll be telling her maid, please use less fuel, பிகாஸ் கேஸ் வந்து தீர்ந்து போகும்போது ஃபியூவல் கம்மியாக யூஸ் பண்ண சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ வாட் ஷீ வில் டூ இஸ், she will say, let me do this because the cylinder gas is going to over. I will make this puri, and she will start making it. She'll ask the maid to do some other work. So what she'll do, she'll switch off the stove after putting the puri inside. When it is hot enough, she'll switch off the stove for some time. With that heat itself, she'll make a couple of puris, and then again she'll switch it on. She'll make more puris. So then அதே ப்ராப்ளம், அதே சொல்யூஷனை வந்து they will implement in while sending that satellite to Mars. So they will first என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா, first the engine will run, then the satellite will be triggered on direction, and in that momentum it will keep moving, and they'll switch off the engine. So the fuel, it will be saved for some time. Again after some distance, due to gravity, like it will move in towards Mars, and again they will switch on the engine. And the madri, like they will save fuel because their satellite has to be small. They want to save fuel. So she will apply this problem solving from kitchen to satellite. So that's another interesting example, I could say. You watch that movie and that scene, it will be very interesting. So I remembered that when we were talking about the analogies. So I remembered that example. Mangalyan, Mangalyan to அக்ஷய் குமார் அண்ட் இவங்க அவங்க பேர் என்ன?
ஓ, மாதவன் படம் இல்லையா மங்கள்யான்?
இல்ல இல்ல திஸ் இஸ் ஹிந்தி. இது வந்து அக்ஷய் குமார் அப்புறம் ஐயோ அவங்க ஃபேமஸ் ஆக்ட்ரஸ், அவங்க பேர் வித்யா பாலன். அண்ட் வித்யா
ம்.
பாலன் இஸ் த மெயின் சயின்டிஸ்ட் ரோலில் நடிச்சிருப்பாங்க.
ஓகே. பார்க்கலாம். ம்.
ரொம்ப
யா,
நல்லா இருக்கு மேடம். தேங்க்யூ தேங்க்யூ, ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு.
தேங்க்யூ சார், தேங்க்யூ. ஓகே, ஸோ யா, நித்யா தேவி மேம், ஐ திங்க் she joined back. So, ma'am, you want to talk, ma'am? I think Nitya ma'am, you are on mute. So I see your raised hand. Okay.
அனைவருக்கும் உற்சாகமான மாலை வணக்கம். டிராவல்ல
நானும்.
இருக்கேன். ஆனா ரேஞ்ச் அப்படின்ற ஒரு தலைப்புல அழகா ரேஞ்ச் தானே புக்கு பேரு. இப்பயும் நான் கணக்கு கவனிச்ச மாதிரியே இருந்துச்சு. என்ன நம்ம ப்ராப்ளம் எப்படி சால்வ் பண்ணணும், நிறைய ப்ராப்ளம்லாம் லைஃப்ல இருக்கிறத எப்படி அப்ரோச் பண்ணணும், அந்த கார்ட்ஸ் விளக்கம் இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருந்துச்சு. ஆஹ் இந்த லாஸ்ட்ல நீங்க சம்மர் பண்ணி கொடுத்துருக்க இந்த விஷயம் ரொம்ப சூப்பரா இருக்கு. ஆனா அதை எப்படி நம்ம மூவ் பண்றது, எனக்கு அந்த கடைசியில 2 லைன் இருக்குல்ல, அது எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் சொல்றீங்களா? டூ நாட் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ட் யுவர் ஐடென்டிட்டி அண்ட் நாட் டு ஐடென்டிட்டி டு ஸ்ட்ராங்லி வித் ஒன் ஸ்கில். ஆ
Okay, ma'am.
அது மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் சொல்லுங்க.
Sure, ma'am. Do not restrict your identity-னா லைக் இப்போ நம்ம இருக்கிற ஃபீல்டில், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நான் வந்து ஒரு டேட்டா இன்ஜினியர், நான் வந்து ஒரு ஐடி ஃபீல்டில் ஒர்க் பண்ணுறேன். ஸோ நான் என்னோட ஐடென்டிட்டியை வந்து நான் டேட்டா இன்ஜினியர் அப்படின்னு ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்ட் பண்ணிட்டேன்னா, I will not, I will be like too confined. I will only learn things related to this field. ஸோ மற்ற திங்ஸை வந்து நான் வந்து லேர்ன் பண்ண மாட்டேன். ஆர் ஐ திங்க் லைக் அது இட் வில் பி அ வேஸ்ட் ஆஃப் டைம். ஸோ பட் இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் தட், if I'm not restricting myself with my role or the job that I do, if I keep a broader identity, then you will try to explore a lot of things. ஸோ ஸோ இது எப்படி சொல்கிறதுனா, இப்போது இப்போ நீங்கள் உங்களோட எக்ஸாம்பிள் எடுத்துட்டோன்னா, லைக் நீங்கள் வந்து மேக்ஸ் டீச்சர்னு எனக்கு தெரியும். பட் மேக்ஸ் டீச்சராக இருந்தாலும் லைக் அது மட்டும் உங்களோட ஐடென்டிட்டி இல்லை. நீங்கள் வந்து புக்கு பேசுகிறது, நீங்கள் வந்து உங்களுடைய பேச்சு திறன், ரொம்ப அழகாக வந்து அப்ரிஷியேஷன் சொல்லுவீங்க. இப்போது ப்ரெசென்டர்ஸ்லாம் ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணி முடித்ததுக்கப்புறம் வந்து ஒரு கவிதை நயத்தோடு அப்ரிஷியேட் பண்ணுவீங்க. ஸோ அதெல்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, லைக் உங்களோட ஐடென்டிட்டி வந்து நாட் ஜஸ்ட் தட் யூ ஆர் அ டீச்சர், பட் இட்ஸ் நாட் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்டட் டு தட். அதுதான் நான் சொல்ல வரேன். ஸோ உங்களுக்கு பல முகங்கள் இருக்குது. ஸோ அது எல்லாத்தையுமே வந்து நீங்கள் எடுத்துக்கணும்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. அதுதான் இந்த பாயிண்டோட கோர். இது ஹோப் ஐ எக்ஸ்பிளைன்ட் இட். பட் நித்யா மேம் ட்ராப் ஆகிட்டாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். மேபி அவங்கள்ட்ட திரும்ப ஆஃப்லைனில் ஐ டாக் டு ஹர். Okay. Okay, anyone else want to speak? FD ma'am, லக்ஷ்மி மேம் நினைக்கிறேன். எஃப்டின்றது நீங்கள் பேசுகிறீங்களா?
மேம் சாரி மேம், ஆக்சுவலி இன்னைக்கு நான் கொஞ்சம் லேட்டாக ஜாயின் பண்ணிட்டேன். ஆல்மோஸ்ட் டுவர்ட்ஸ் த எண்டு தான் ஜாயின் பண்ணேன். பிகாஸ் ஐ வாஸ் ஹெல்ட் அப் வித் சம் ஆஃபீஸ் ஒர்க் மேம். லேட் ஆயிடுச்சு வர்றதுக்கு. ஸோ அந்த லாஸ்ட் சம்மரி செஷன் தான் நான் அட்டன் பண்ணேன். பட் ஸோ ஐ எம் ட்ரையிங் டு அப்சர்வ் ஆல் த பாயிண்ட்ஸ் த்ரூ த ஃபீட்பேக் செஷன். எல்லாரும் என்ன சொல்கிறாங்க, ஸோ அது வந்து அதையும் இந்த சம்மரி பாயிண்ட்ஸையும் வச்சு ஐ எம் ட்ரையிங் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். அதனால தான் நான் எதுவும் ஃபீட்பேக் சொல்ல முடியலை. but I felt
Okay.
this topic is very very important, and the efforts you have put is very very interesting. And என்னன்னா நீங்க உங்க மெயின் திங் வந்து உங்களோட புக் செலெக்ஷன் வில் பி ஆல்வேஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட் மேம். அது எப்படி எனக்கு சொல்றதுன்னு தெரியல. இட் வில் நாட் பி a நார்மல் புக் ஆஸ் யூஷுவல். என்ன சொல்றது, சொல் 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 கஷ்டமா சொல்ல வேண்டிய ஒரு இதை வந்து ஈஸியா எப்படி சொல்றது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அவ்வளோ இது எடுத்து எஃபர்ட்ஸ் எடுத்து அழகா ப்ரிப்பேர். இந்த மாதிரி புக்ஸ் எல்லாம் நான் முன்னாடியே உங்களுக்கு இதோட உங்களோட ப்ரீவியஸ் செஷன்ல கூட சொல்லியிருக்கேன். சில பாயிண்ட்ஸ்லாம் வந்து நம்ம படிச்சா புரியாது. அது எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றவங்க எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ற விதத்துல பண்ணாதான் நமக்கு புரியும். அந்த மாதிரி கான்செப்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து அவ்வளோ அழகா குழந்தைங்களுக்கு சொல்ற மாதிரி அப்படி ஈஸியா டைஜஸ்ட் பண்ற மாதிரி அழகா நீங்க சொல்வீங்க. இன்னைக்கு நான் மார்னிங் உங்க செஷன் மிஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு தான் நினைச்சேன், பட் ஐ வாஸ் ஹெல்ட் அப், சாரி. அதனால தான் நான் குவைட்டா அப்சர்வ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் மேம். வெல் டன், வெரி வெரி நைஸ். இந்த இதை ஏதாவது ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் இருந்தா கூட ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க மேம். தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Recording, hopefully recording would have done properly. I'll share it, ma'am, and I'll share the PowerPoint as well. Thank you. Thank you.
ஓகே மேம். சாரி மேம், இன்னைக்கு மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டேனா. ஆனா உண்மையிலே சொல்றேன், இது ஒரு ஹெவி டாபிக். இந்த மாதிரி டாபிக்லாம் இதை சொல்லி கொடுக்கறதுக்கே ஒரு பேஷன்ஸ் வேணும். அது உங்களுக்கு தான் இருக்குதுன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அது எங்களுக்கு அவ்வளோ அழகா மெனக்கிட்டு எஃபர்ட்ஸ் எடுத்து பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க. அதை அட்டன் பண்ண முடியாம போச்சேன்னு தான் என்னோட ஃபீலிங். சாரி மேம். தேங்க்யூ மேம்.
No problem, no problem, ma'am. It's
கண்டிப்பா
okay.
ரெக்கார்டிங் கிடைச்சா கண்டிப்பா ஐ வில் கோ த்ரூ இட் அண்ட் சென்ட் மை ஃபீட்பேக் டு யூ.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
தேங்க்யூ மேம்.
Okay. Okay, Nitya Devi ma'am, varla. So I'll just check. Saravanan sir, would you like to speak, sir? I think everyone else has spoken. So, okay, okay. He might be, he's on mute, I think. Okay. Okay.
Chitra ma'am,
Ah,
எல்லா ரீதியிலையும் it is a wonderful presentation. Only thing is that we need time and energy to imbibe and do this action. அதுதான். Thanks a lot. Chitra.
yes. Okay, sir. Okay, sure, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think, yeah, everyone has spoken. So we'll wind up our session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone,
Have a
for
nice
your
day.
wonderful feedback and discussion. We'll again meet in another session. Have a good day. Have a good night. Thank
Have a
you.
nice day. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
பாய் மேம். பாய்.
Bye. Bye. Good night.